Rotowire's James Anderson. Bold predictions. Who else could be better than James Anderson? We're going to get a hitter. We're going to get a pitcher. And we're going to see how bold we can go and, how right. I don't know. I was talking to Jeff about this, James. It's tough because it's like when you singularly hone in on like a hitter and then a pitcher and you want to go bold, we get big hits and big misses on these sometimes because we are like really, really focusing in. I've had some big misses on those, the Luis Medinas of the world, as I had mentioned to Jeff. But let's get into it. Let's talk about what you got going down, hitters and pitchers. By the way, more than anything else, how about trying to finalize the top 400 prospects or 500 prospects that you do over on RotoWire going into the start of the season? And then knowing that you're going to just trash all of it in like weeks as the season starts and you start having to react to the actual season.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun finishing the most recent update to the top 400. I put that up on Friday, so that's less than a week old. Feels like a more complete top 400 than the January one, but you're also, like you said, you're kind of trying to factor in some small sample stuff that's happened in the last few weeks. So yeah, it'll be back to the drawing board in a couple months for that next update, but feels great to have it fresh and in the books and mostly still relevant.
Yeah, exactly. And we get to actually react to some real like counting minor league stuff. Where AAA is starting, we'll get the lower levels. Rookie ball starts sooner than ever. It's like a month after the season starts. So we'll have a lot of like in-season reactions and to see where our ranks and our bold predictions actually take place in here. So let's kick into it. Let's not waste any time. James, we will start with the pitcher for you. So bold prediction, starting pitching prospect for 2025, be it statistical, be it rank, however you want to approach the bold prediction. Who is it and what's the prediction?
So my prediction is that Grant Taylor of the White Sox finishes the year as a top 25 prospect and a top 5 pitching prospect.
All right, let's break it down. That is very bold as well. I love Grant Taylor. I've seen him for a long time. He went to quite a bit of White Sox camp earlier this year. He's always funny. He's always got the football with him, taken to the backfields. But why that really stands out as well, if people are not piecing that together, is you have Noah Schultz and you have got Hagen Smith. So I'm curious. I want to hear the breakdown of what gets us there with Grant Taylor. And is this at all an assumption that both Hagen and Noah Schultz have graduated, or are they still a part of that? Because that is a very, very good, bold take on Grant Taylor.
Yeah, I think Schultz will have graduated. I don't think Hagen Smith will have graduated. So, some combination of like Hagen Smith, Chase Burns, Thomas White, Travis Sikora. I think Grant Taylor beats out like 2 of those 5 to be a top 3 pitching prospect. So it could be him and Hagen Smith and Chase Burns or something like that. But, it's not, I have a couple comps for Taylor, but they're not pitcher comps. They're more pitching prospect, like where they were ranked, how quickly they ascended type of comps.
Okay.
And he reminds me a lot of back in 2017, Jesus Luzardo and Walker Buehler. They're both coming back from they're heading into their first full season back from Tommy John surgery, but they've already put up really impressive tiny sample numbers down. But the price is still low because they barely pitched. And then that year they both ascend to, become elite pitching prospects because they're healthy. They're ready to get stretched out. So I think Grant Taylor, this is the year that he could do that. He's got all the pitches. He's done nothing but throw enough strikes in these small samples. So it's just a matter of him staying healthy and stacking innings. And I think just the type of player the type of pitcher he is, the age, where he's at in his development, I think he could move really quickly to the upper levels of the minors.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that too, because he has spent so much time at the complex with the injuries and just kind of revamping that I do think they would push this. It's also the White Sox, it would behoove them. The future of that rotation is Schultz, Smith, and Grant Taylor, and getting all of those guys kind of around the same time to develop together is interesting. big power fastball. Wouldn't be surprised this year in how aggressive they, coming back from injury, they're pressing everything. Grant Taylor, top 5 SP, top 25 overall prospect.
Yes, sir.
I love it. I want to start but I mean, you kind of already did it. I wanted to be like, all right, this guy or this guy, but you've already kind of gone there. Let me see if I can get one. Okay. Thomas Harrington. Well, Thomas Harrington's going to be graduated, but Thomas Harrington or Grant Taylor, just for S's and G's.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Harrington ranked about 25 spots ahead of Taylor right now. I do think Harrington will graduate in the next 2 to 3 months, probably. But they're very different types of pitchers. I can picture a lot of my readers and subscribers wanting Taylor over Harrington because all they care about is upside. So, like, if that's you, if all you care about is upside, Grant Taylor over Harrington. I think Harrington's a fantastic pitching prospect and he's basically ready. So that would be a nod in his favor. But yeah, I could see if all you're about is hunting aces, hunting, big time prospects that you can then flip for something, Grant Taylor would be the guy to have.
Yeah. And the other last thing on this, what's interesting is like the top end, I'm just looking at like my ranks of pitchers. They all could be off. Like I'm looking at my top 6 or 7, and it's you kind of said it before. You said Chase Burns. Chase Burns is, in theory, would be my number 1 pitching prospect. Maybe halfway through the year, all these guys, from the Bubba Chandlers and the Schultz, and Painter's a little difficult because they're not going to let him go. But by the end of the season, it's like my top 5 SPs, they're going to be off that list. And then there's some guys in the middle of there, you got Quinn Matthews and stuff, they could be gone. So it really is this open forum of I have the same thing. It'd be like Burns, Hagen, Sikora, and then you'd have to move further down, maybe Thomas White. Like it's kind of an open platform for SPs to jump up. And Grant Taylor's a great pick for that. So,
well, thanks.
I like that. Yeah, I like that one.
Hopefully he stays healthy.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And I like that you attached to top 5 SP, top 25. Let's talk about the hitter, though. So your bold prediction hitter for 2025. Name and what realm we're going to move to.
Okay, yeah. So I think I've always struggled more with the hitters than the pitchers for this exercise over the years, just because I think it's really hard for a hitting prospect to be sneaky. It's tough for them to be undervalued. But I think Ryan Waldschmidt of the Diamondbacks, I've got him as sort of, he's inside my top 100 right now, but he's just inside. I think he finishes the year as a top 25 prospect. Doesn't graduate, doesn't get to the big leagues, but has a fantastic year. Probably, starts at high A, maybe spends the bulk of the year at double A, and is looking like, someone kind of in the Seiya Suzuki type of mold where, it's not 30 steals, it's not 30 homers, but he could go 25 homers, 20 steals, something like that. Good average, good OBP. So not a guy who's going to be like a top 5 prospect or a top 10 prospect, I don't think, but I think Ryan Waldschmidt will finish the year as a top 25 prospect.
And it's not hard to do, but that would in theory vault him to being the number 1 overall Diamondbacks prospect, because we would assume Jordan Lawler, year 3 is the time, I guess, we'll get him off and he'll graduate and be done. And then you're just kind of vying with the Diamondbacks. It's just a bunch of outfielders. It's, where does Slade Caldwell? I'm obviously a big Slade guy. Where does Drew Jones develop? Demetrio Crisantis is kind of interesting, but it's kind of like this open space. So this would make him the number one Arizona Diamondbacks prospect. Let me throw a couple names at you then. At the end of this season, Ryan Waldschmidt or Jason Churio?
Yeah, I mean, those guys can both go sort of as high as they want based on how they perform this year. I wouldn't put like a ceiling on either guy.
Sure.
But I think Waldschmidt will have a more prolific season and just kind of force his way past Churio. But we're still, any of these years could be the year that Churio hits another level as a power hitter. And if that ever happens, he's just going to skyrocket up the ranking. Yeah,
one of the things also as a college bat has working for Ryan Waldschmidt. All right, we'll do one more, and this is a fun one. End of season, Ryan Waldschmidt or Charlie Condon?
Well,
I just wanted to hear you say it. I knew it was going to be there. I just wanted to hear you say it. Charlie, with the injuries, is already kind of hurt. If you were doing a first year, well, I guess you kind of answered that. If you were doing a first year player like this moment, would you take Waldschmidt over Condon, or would you try to risk like thinking Waldschmidt could come back?
Yeah, I mean, I've got Waldschmidt about 8 spots ahead of Condon right now. So, yeah, I would take Waldschmidt, and I would not really worry about Condon. I would assume he'd probably already be gone, but hopefully I could just get Waldschmidt out of that.
I love it. What did we say? Top 25 prospect, did you say?
Yep.
I love it. You're speaking to my heart, a man of my heart with the Arizona Diamondbacks bold prediction. Always, James Anderson, the best out there. Find him over on Rotowire. Top 400 prospect update is already out there. In-season stuff is going to be going. And then when's the plan for the 400 update over on Rotowire for you? You said a couple months. Is it like, what's the typical? Is it like end of May, like the beginning of June?
I try to get it done before Memorial Day weekend, because I always go up with my family to my parents for Memorial Day weekend, so I want to get it done before we leave town. So yeah, late.
I was about to say, like, oh wait, are you go to see your parents and you're like, I'm going to work on the top 400 while I'm here, so I don't have to interact. Some people would want to have that. You're a good guy and spending time with the family. Hopefully you'll be spending some time with me this year on Prospect One, as always. James, my bestie, thank you so much. Great bold predictions, and we'll talk to you next time right here on P1.
Thanks, buddy.